Have you ever thought that something as small and ordinary as a bicycle could shake society? That it would challenge patriarchy, break centuries of dependence, and give women a taste of freedom? In today's lesson, Where There is a Wheel, written by P. Sainath, we are not just reading an article, we are witnessing a quiet revolution that took place in rural Padukottai, Tamil Nadu. Here in this lesson, wheel symbolizes freedom. For rural women in Padukottai district, Tamil Nadu, bicycle became far more than transportation. It is a symbol or it's a metaphor for freedom itself. Yes, more than transportation, it's a movement of physical and social progression. It's a change breaking traditional barriers and norms. It's freedom, independence from patriarchal control. In early 1990s in Padukottai, women were recently literate neo-literates living in rural community but facing large patriarchal control. But then something changes. In just 18 months, over 1 lakh rural women, most of them being neo-literates, which is newly educated, learn how to ride a bicycle. If we exclude 10-year-old girls, then up to one-fourth of total rural women population have learned cycling. More than 70,000 women proudly display their skills in public exhibition contexts. This was not a hobby, but this was history in motion. Now let's hear to few voices of women, starting with Jamila Bibi. Among these women is Jamila Bibi. She rides a bicycle through village roads, ignoring whispers, stares, dirty remarks. She says something very powerful. It's my right. I can go anywhere. Now I don't have to wait for a bus. That one sentence tells us everything. Cycling gave her freedom of movement, independence, self-confidence for the first time. For first time she decides where she goes. She says something very powerful. Cycling is right, not a privilege. Of course it's a right. How can it be tagged as a privilege? Now let's hear to what Fatima says. Freedom beyond economics. So what she means is it's not about money. There's freedom in cycling beyond money. Fatima is a school teacher. She's a secondary school teacher. She makes powerful statement despite the reality that she faces that she cannot afford a bicycle. But she hires one daily. There is freedom in cycling. We are not dependent on anyone now. So her testimony tells that cycling represents emotional freedom and self-respect. It's not merely an economic benefit. She's highlighting that it's not just for the thing of money. It's the joy, it's the independence, freedom that brings a material ownership to ourselves. Now let's hear to what Avakanni says. Women teaching women. So Jamila and Fatima, their friend is Avakanni. Okay. So all these are in their early 20s. But what do? They train other women. This movement grows because women support women and those who learn, they become teachers. So this is how freedom spreads wheel by wheel. So here she tells about how a network of support can be built by one woman to an other women. Arivoli Ayyakam. Education meeting mobility. So behind this movement stands Arivoli Ayyakam, which means the light of knowledge movement. So it began as a literacy drive, but quickly it got understood one truth. Education without mobility is incomplete. So Arivoli organized cycling camps, composed motivational songs, gave social approval to women cycling. One song sings, "Oh sister, come learn cycling. Move with the wheel of time." The wheel now moves, and so does the society. So this was all about Arivoli Ayakam, which is lighting the way. a social sanction to claim public space. So first starting with educational foundation, it came up with mobility integration and social legitimacy. It organized training camps, empowering songs, rallies, exhibitions, and built community through collective celebration. The cycling movement cut across economic and social boundaries, reaching women from all the sectors of rural life. We can see few of them like agricultural workers, quarry laborers, village health nurses, Anganwadi, Balwadi workers, teachers, gem cutters, gram sevikas, midday meal workers. So women from all sectors were benefited. Kannamal, confidence on two wheels. So one of the strongest voices is N. Kannamal, the central coordinator of Arivoli. She explains the real impact. Cycling reduced women's dependence on men. She often sees women cycling 4 kilometers to fetch water. Children seated on cycle bar, provisions carried confidently. Yes, men mocked at them. They faced character attacks, but Arivoli stood by them and women rode on. So now let's talk about the brainchild, Sheila Rani Chikant. This woman had a visionary mind behind it. Sheila Rani Chinkat, the former district collector in 1991, she realized that lack of mobility destroys confidence. So she trained female literacy activists. She pushed banks to give cycle loans, assigned duties to each block, personally monitored the program. First, activists started learning cycling. Then what happened? Then it went to neoliterates. Then, seeing all of them, every woman wanted to learn. Soon it reached such a state where there was a shortage of ladies' cycle. What did women do? They rode Gen cycle proudly. Now let's talk about women taking over the town. On International Women's Day in 1992, something unforgettable happened. 1,500 women cyclists, flag on handlebars, bells ringing, they stormed Padukottai town. The town stood stunned. This was not a protest, this was presence. Presence which broke barriers, presence having preferred choices, presence which demand explosion, and this gained visibility, confidence amongst the women. Now let's hear from another woman, Manoormani, a quarry worker story. She is a woman who brings blazing heat of stone quarries to confidence. We meet Manoormani, a 22-year-old lady. She is a quarry worker, a Arivoli volunteer, a trainer. She believes cycling is vital. Cycling is vital because she says our areas are cut off and cycling gives mobility. So this shows how even in harshest condition a wheel brings hope. Her story demonstrates how cycling empowers even the poorest women, reaching into isolated areas, such areas where even we didn't think that change would be possible. And in such areas, if it's changing, then the wheel is bringing hope. Let's see how cycling transformed life. Yes, of course, time is saved, money is saved. You get a lot of opportunities. You can expand your selling areas. You can go across villages. And now women is balancing life, whether to carry, produce, fetch water, manage both home, work efficiently. Cycling is impacting lives. So the important idea is self-respect. Fatima reveals, what do I make from cycling? I lose money. We read about Fatima earlier, right? She said freedom over economy. Fatima cycles every day because cycling gives her something what money cannot buy. Dignity, independence, happiness. So the author realizes the truth. Bicycle is a metaphor for freedom itself. Postscript, how the movement continues. When the author returns in 1995, we can see that the cycling craze still continues throughout the Padukottai district. The costs are rising, of course. Earlier it was 1,200, now it's 1,400, making harder to afford for some families. The newer generation is eagerly waiting for their turn, inspired by freedom, the freedom they wish to witness. Despite these economic challenges, Padukottai remains unique. Unique for the stunning proposition of women cyclists. This chapter teaches us that revolution do not always come with slogans. Sometimes they come quietly, sometimes they come on two wheels. Where there is a wheel, there is a movement. Where there is a movement, there is freedom. Thank you all. That's all for this session. Few tips that I would like to give is, see, when you can take screenshots of the slides, of course, but while making notes, make it in a separate page, each under a different title. Every women testimony under different title, where you can, or you can know what the particular person has said about the moment. Also, after doing all, at the last page, make a two column, where in first column you write name, and in second column summary of what they are telling, maybe just in one line. For example, Fatima said freedom over economy. So when you know only the title itself, you will be able to answer questions in a well way. So maintain a summary page, where at one column of the page you write the headings, and in one college explanation, not long enough, just in title, because all the explanation you already have in your textbook. Thank you.